This call is now being recorded.
हेलो हेलो
Yes,
हमारे
sir. Good morning.
हमारे
Yes, sir. Good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग टू ऑल पार्टिसिपेंट्स
Good morning, sir.
रिस्पेक्टेड टीचर्स एंड आवर गेस्ट फॉर टुडे प्रोफेसर अजय कुमार गुप्ता sir is already joined to us. Within a minute we will start our program. Before starting this session, I would like to throw light on a very brief introduction about our today's guest. Professor Ajay Kumar Gupta is a professor in the Department of Commerce, Deen Dayal Upadhyay, Gorakhpur University, Gorakhpur. Specialized in entrepreneurship, strategic management, and information technology. He is a member of Collegium of NAC, Bangalore, and visits higher education institutions as peer team member for accreditation. In the 30 years of his career, he wrote 3 books, presented 48 research papers in the national and international conferences, was invited by the Cambridge University in 2006, completed consultancy project of the Ministry of MSMEs and situated at IIM Ahmedabad, got trained at IIM Bangalore, IIM Calcutta, IIM Lucknow, IIM Kozhikode, and IIFT Delhi. He also completed an international project on SSI at EDI Ahmedabad. So far, he has produced 14 PhDs and presently supervising equal number of research scholars in 4 universities. He presented his research paper in the Cambridge University in 2006 and World Finance Forum in Shanghai, China in 2012. So, without wasting a time, I would like to request our today's guest, Professor Ajay Kumar Gupta, sir, kindly coordinate this session. Sir, please.
Am I visible now? Am I visible properly?
Yes, sir.
Please, sir.
Okay, okay. So let us start. The topic today that we have to discuss is digital classroom. All of us are aware of digital revolution in our country. And this digital revolution started around the beginning of new millennium. I mean, the year 2000 itself. University Grant Commission, since then only, is trying its level best to popularize digital activities as well as online contents for the better outreach and quality higher education to be made available to our students 24/7. And many of the institutions very carefully paid sufficient heed to the directions, to the letters, to the guidelines that came from time to time from UGC for popularizing use of computer, use of software, use of hardwares, so that the productivity of each and every stakeholder could be increased. In university, the major stakeholders are the students, the teachers, the employees, the the guardians, the society, the employers, industrialists, and various research institutions. In fact, we all are aware that use of technology, or say for that matter, use of computer enhance our productivity. And it is not only enhanced productivity, with the enhancement of productivity, the cost per unit as well as efficiency, saving of time, there are several such benefits which has attracted the whole world to go online. So in this new millennium, almost every profession tried to adopt computers, information technology, or in one sentence, if we say, the digital formats of the contents related to their profession. What is digital contents related to our profession? In higher education, the digital contents are the course materials, the delivery of the course materials, the interaction with the students and various stakeholders, the feedback, the examination, the evaluation from time to time, attendance. All these things are part and parcel of our day-to-day activities. So higher education, in order to benefit from technology, or say information technology, had to enter all these essential areas of the everyday activity of the institution in order to be benefited by the technology. And when technology converts all those contents in digital format. Although UGC tried its level best, but most of the academic institutions, as well as teachers, as well as the authorities, they seldom paid adequate heed or attention to the importance of information technology, digital contents, and online programs. In fact, when UGC introduced InflibNet in the beginning of this millennium, toward 2000 itself, it was a big revolution in the area of higher education in our country. Not only in our country, but in the whole world. We were the first to spend such a huge amount of budget on the establishment of InflibNet, on the establishment of several other such gadgets, such system, which could popularize the use of computer as well as e-contents, firstly provided by UGC itself via InflibNet. Then UGC had a plan that teachers themselves could create their own e-contents, which could make a good reservoir for the upcoming generations. But in the last 15 years, despite very rigorous efforts from UGC, we could not do much in the area of use of information technology, use of computer, and the digital contents. It was a chance that this COVID-19 spread had compelled most of the professionals to think in some new way so that they could survive. We all are feeling that we have also to change our systems so that we could conduct our classes. Our students should not miss their classes. They should not lose on their time, their career, and thus, like every other profession, higher education could also cope up with the changed time and the emergency that has been thrown upon us by COVID-19. Fortunately, many of the institutions came forward and they did a lot of experimentations. Not only in higher education, but sometimes I feel in several places, the schools, primary schools and other schools, they did much better in the field of digital classroom, use of information technology and computers in their online classes. Institutions came very fast in adapting to the situation by starting online classes through Zoom, through WebEx and several other platforms. And similarly, so many new methods, new platform like Google Meet we are using. It was a costly affair 2 months ago, but the opportunity sensed by Google and similarly Microphone for their Microsoft classes, several other organizations, business people, they well know how to make use of the new opportunities. And thus, so many technological companies throughout the world came forward to help out. And this way, the pandemic forced us to adopt information technology as well as computer, and most of the uses of information technology and computer appeared in the form of digital classrooms. So now onward, this was a background about how we have been forced in the change situation to go online and thus adopt the digital classrooms. Now, what, why and how about the digital classroom? In fact, digital classroom just indicates the use of computers and information technology for doing our day-to-day business, particularly the transaction of lessons, discussions, lectures via classrooms. So this way, most of the day-to-day business of higher education relates to the classroom, the exchange of opinions, lectures, and spread of course materials, distribution of course materials. We can well classify this digital content or use of information technology for higher education in 3 categories. First, the online classroom method that most of the institutions are craving for. In this lockdown period, most of the institutions, say most of the teachers, they did their level best to conduct or not to miss their classes so that students could not lose their time and could cope up with their career plan. So first and foremost part of the digital contents or use of information technology is the online classroom. In online classroom, all the essential things happen, like teacher delivers his lectures, students can ask questions. In some format, it is the direct raise of hands, and then the host puts the speaker to on position, and the students who raise the hands can ask the questions directly as it happens in the class. There is one added facility if the student is a little hesitant about coming forward and he or she just want to ask questions by the words only, then SMS can do. Then any feedback which is usually not used in classroom method Here, one added facility is that students can put their feedback after the class ends or even during the class ends. Second format is the online contents like MOOCs, massive open online courses. Various institutions in the country like IIMBX, NPTEL, even UGC, they have started a lot of MOOCs program, massive open online courses via SWAYAM platform. UGC has issued a lot of guidelines, a lot of letters in the last 3 years to popularize SWAYAM. But unfortunately, the higher educational institutions have not yet shown adequate interest in adopting the SWAYAM platform and therefore helping UGC in popularizing the MOOCs at UG level as well as PG level. So this is not the government organizations. edx.org, Harvard Business School, Harvard University, Coursera, in India NPTEL, IIMBX, IGNOU, and several other organizations are providing MOOCs programs. In MOOCs, there is online classes, there is online interaction, even group emails are there on which students can ask the questions and the question reaches to each and every person enrolled. Any student can answer, the answer will reach to each and every group member like it happens in WhatsApp. But WhatsApp is not adopted in MOOCs because that is not so much handy. It cannot be attached with large audio video files. Therefore, group emails are used in almost each and every MOOCs program. Apart from MOOCs that UGC adopts through SWAYAM platform, UGC has also come forward to create a lot of channels. Initially, it created 32 TV channels for different programs. For 4 hours every day, each subject 4 hours, and therefore 6 slots every day in 24 hours. All these 32 channels disseminate several lectures. Some are 30 minutes, some are 20 minutes, and the topic is well disclosed ahead of time, at least a week ahead, so that students as well as teachers could know about the schedule of the various subjects, of the various lectures, of the various topics, and therefore they could take benefit of these direct telecast through the televisions, which can be used while sitting in the home. And even considering that many of the institutions, many of the students cannot afford to have TV, therefore many of the universities and colleges, they have installed number of LED screens so that students could come and join the classes for their benefit. So this is another format of online contents, and you can say this is another way how digital classrooms are taken to the home of the students directly. And the third classification, all the rest can be put in like the e-contents. Recently, all the state governments encouraged university and college teachers to create their own e-contents. Although this is not the first time, UGC is trying since last 5 years its hardest to encourage the teachers in universities and colleges to create their own online contents. There have been several programs, applications have been invited time and again. Various universities have been provided courses like ARPIT, refresher courses. Through ARPIT, many of you can join the refresher course. Teachers have usually the problem of getting leave, they are overburdened. So in order to provide them relief, UGC started refresher course that is essential for their promotion for the teachers so that they could do it from their home as per their convenience. In ARPIT, you can join the classes anytime as per your convenience, because there are video lectures. One university is assigned the job of doing the ARPIT course. There is a time duration of almost 3 months. So usually 3 to 4 times in a year, every subject gets opportunity to conduct the refresher course, and teachers from all over the country can join these online refresher course called ARPIT, which is conducted by one single university. For example, in commerce and management, Shriram College of Commerce and Management and Economics. Recently, it got finished after I think it was more than 4 months it was open, and people have completed it, and now they have got the certificates as well. Similarly, JNU, Delhi University, BHU, all the big universities which accepted the offer. 3 years back, UGC had offered to all the colleges as well as universities to apply to conduct ARPIT courses. And those universities who applied and they could prove that yes, they can conduct the All India refresher courses in online mode through ARPIT, they have been given the assignment and they are conducting the online refresher courses for the university as well as college teachers spread throughout the country according to their own convenience and schedule. And it is almost open for 3 months. Students, teachers can join anytime. They can start anytime. They can cope up with the previous lectures by sparing much more time. The only thing is that before 1 month, they should register for their online examination. That is, I think, 2-hour session in morning and evening. 2 examinations are to be appeared by on single day. Some holiday is this, and there are class assignments as well. With every lecture, you have to submit some assignment that you can do as per your convenience. So the online contents, e-contents, creating, gathering material from Google and several other courses like Google Scholars, and teachers try to compile it in such a manner that students could benefit. They could well supplement it with the lecture of the professor for the maximum possible advantage. So these are the 3 popular modes of the digital classrooms. Most handy, as the teachers and students also feel, if they get an opportunity to interact online. That means the teacher could deliver the lecture, the students could ask the questions, and the teacher could reply then and there, instantly, in real time. But once students and teacher start using this digital platform, I mean, it may be either in the form of online classroom, it may be in the form of MOOCs, massive open online courses through SWAYAM platform of UGC, or it may be through other means like attending the classes on television and appearing physically. IGNOU is doing it since last 30 years. In fact, from their inception itself, in 1986, IGNOU was started. In 1986, it was number 2 organization in the world. First was the open, the distance mode education program of United Kingdom. And now, today, India, the IGNOU of India is the first and foremost institution in the world as per the number of students enrolled, number of courses conducted, and the facilities provided. IGNOU is number 1 in the whole world in distance mode. And IGNOU started its own channel, Gyanvani, and channels for IGNOU where students could attend to various lectures in television itself. And later on, when the information technology revolution came, computers became very cheap, and UGC started massive drives to equip the colleges and universities with the computer sets, believing that universities and colleges teachers will use it. First they will learn it and then they will take it to the students, and students once become used to computers and information technology, the productivity of students as well as teachers will go up very fast. Productivity. Here you see, as I said earlier also, the biggest advantage of computer and information technology is that it increases our productivity. Productivity in what sense? Productivity in the sense of efficiency and in the sense of effectiveness. When I say productivity in the sense of efficiency, efficiency means for the same amount of expenditure, for the same amount of time, it can reach a larger number of students, and also the quality of lecture can be enhanced several times. For example, PPT, PowerPoint presentations are just like a tool which is being used mostly now, but the proper use of PPT can enhance the efficiency as well as effectiveness both. How? When we use PowerPoint, it makes us capable of delivering much more contents in the same amount of time. Not only much more contents, but also you can pass it on to your students more effectively. Effectively means that students can easily understand it. You can easily take it to the students. So if in 1 hour lecture you use PPT and students are also receptive or they are ready to learn, you can deliver 2 hours contents in 1 hour time. Not only that, they can well grasp that better than they would have had without the use of PPT. Similarly, use of various gadgets, online modes, e-content. For example, every teacher delivers the lecture and wants to supplement his lectures with essential contents, with essential photocopy. Earlier in refresher courses, before the lecture and after the lecture, every resource person tried to supplement his lecture with providing some course material. And for every good lecture, it was expected by the participant that before and after the lecture, they should be provided some photocopy material. But it was a huge expenditure. With the advent of technology, it became very easy. Thousands of pages you can give before the lecture and even after the lecture. Because digital format do not cost. The only cost is preparing it. Once the digital content is prepared, once the e-content is prepared. What is digital content or e-content? Digital content or e-content means the course materials, lectures, or the notes which can be prepared in the digital format, and anything once prepared in digital format can be easily sent to any number of people without any additional expenditure. So the same course content deliver either to 40 students or to 50 lakh students. Cost will be one and the same. So UGC, or for that matter, all the world organizations shifted to online mode, or they welcomed online processes in order to save on time, in order to save on cost, and also in order to increase the efficiency as well as effectiveness. Efficiency means productivity, means for the less cost, less time, less energy, disseminating more knowledge, more information. And effectiveness means whatsoever is delivered via lecture or by other mode, that should be more handy, easier to understand, easier to preserve, easier to go backward and forward, so that students could benefit several times more than they can in the physical format. For example, in 1 hour lecture, the students cannot go back to any part of the lecture. It is usually quite often it happens that some part of the lecture is not understood by somebody. But in the digital format of the lecture, the students can go any number of times to the back of the lecture, to the forward. So by backward and forward, one can listen any part several times, and this benefits the student to grasp, or he can automatically remove the problem of not understanding, or if any haziness, any difficulty arises, it is quite possible that students will himself be able to remove the burden. If he is still not, he can send WhatsApp, he can send SMS, he can send email. Once the problem is sent via email, all the students become available of what is the problem that one or anyone has felt. So this way, all the students try to explore whether it is very clear in their mind, and sometimes students themselves come forward with the solution. They send via reply what they think to be the right answer. So this also encourages the students to come forward with their learning, and in this process of continuous exchange of ideas, opinion, answering the questions, putting the questions, asking the questions, giving the feedback, this process, in fact, increases the effectiveness of the delivery. What institution wants that it should be 100% deliver, means the student should fully understand whatsoever the teacher wants the students to make him understand. So the digital format, there are a lot of opinions about. This was just, I told you the basics of digital classrooms or the course content. So this was the basic things about how the online classes happen, how the digital format of the classroom is undertaken by the students as well as by the teachers. Now I shall discuss about the various opinions. Most of you are aware that there are several discussions in this regard. The two extremes are, somebody say these online courses or digital classrooms are bogus. Another extreme is these online courses or digital format of classroom is very much need of our. And you can say a mix of the opinion can be, it is not good to criticize any of the two, but the best will be the complementary format where the physical format and online format both are used for the maximum advantage. So I shall throw some light on the advantages that I understand and some disadvantages that I can understand. Then you can ask questions, or you can, when the floor is open, session is open, you can ask questions. The general benefits, like I told you, that cost is very less. Once e-content is prepared, it can be used for several years to come, for hundreds and thousands of the students. It can not only be used only in one institution, rather it can be used by the students throughout the world. So cost per unit is very cheap, number one. Number two, accessibility. In online format, students can access their classroom anytime as per their convenience. Usually, attendance is a big problem in our higher educational institutions. The reason is students coming from poor families, they have to support their fathers and family members in earning the bread and butter. several students are employed. So for various reasons, students are not able to attend the classes regularly. So for those students, they can complement their classrooms with the online contents that is available 24/7, and they can use it as per their convenience itself. Thirdly, students can interact very easily, very conveniently. Usually we feel that in classroom setup, many of the students are hesitant about asking questions. They do not want to stand up and raise when asking questions, then many of the students come forward and they put the questions or they put the query that haunts their mind. Fourthly, the answer can come from several corners. Many of the colleagues, many of the batchmates can themselves answer. And finally, the teacher can refine the answer in the most convenient and the most appropriate manner. Fifthly, so many programs can be started. Institutions can enhance their earning. Online courses can be created, which can be used by several institutions on the payment basis. Sixthly, teachers have opportunity to come forward with their skills and create good materials that will further be used by the students throughout the world, and they can benefit very easily. This way, the good and competent teachers are recognized throughout the world very easily. They are encouraged also to come forward with their contents so that they could show their capability to the whole world. Moreover, the institutions can invite the professors from throughout the world for various lectures. So one disadvantage of this is that the present teachers or the institutions will try to do away with the permanent appointment and they will try to hire the teachers online. Best of the professors from throughout the world can be invited for the specialized topics, for the best of the contents to level to their students. So these are the various advantages in general. Apart from this, there can be hundreds more can be counted. Similarly, there can be hundreds more disadvantages that can be counted who do not like this online mode. The biggest criticism of this online classroom or digital classroom is that the digital classroom cannot be substitute of the physical classroom, because the natural way in which students interact with the teachers, that can never be possible in the digital classrooms. Secondly, it is said that students, when they are compelled or they are accountable to their parents regarding attending the class, when they come to the class, they are compelled to learn something, or by attending the class as per the timetable, they are compelled to go through some studies on day-to-day basis. But when they are left with the e-contents, they may be ignorant about, they may ignore it, they may lose it, and they may lose the interest as well, because the classroom setup is not available and they are not motivated by their batchmates. Fourthly, it is said that it is a very costly. You have to set up information technology gadgets, software. You will have to train your teachers. You will have to train your students. It is also criticized on the ground that all the students cannot afford to have computers. All the students cannot have the internet 24/7 all the time. The students coming from the remote parts of the country, even if they have the mobile or they have the computer, they may not have access all the time to the internet. To be computer savvy is also a difficult thing to achieve. on each and every student's part to encourage students via this online mode is very difficult. So these are the common criticism of the digital format of classroom. So far I have discussed the background of the digital classroom, why digital classroom has come up to help us in the change situation. Then I clarified on what are the various types of the digital classrooms. Then I discussed about the benefits or advantages and disadvantages. And of course, most of you have gone through the discussions of disadvantages and advantages and disadvantages of digital classroom, and all of you have some opinion in this regard. This is time. With time, you upgrade your thinking. This is the experience. With experience, you come to know about the better truth. This is your practice, which teaches you of this digital platform. And rest of the advantages and disadvantages you can discuss after the lecture is over. Now I am going to how to conduct in cheapest and easiest manner online digital classrooms. There was a time when teachers used to feel that using computer is very difficult. Then came the mobile. With the advent of mobile also, people were firstly suspicious about that every teacher cannot buy a smartphone. Even if they buy, they cannot use it. It is very difficult to use it. But with the introduction of WhatsApp, SMSs, email, and entering into arena of all these uses, all the teachers without any training, without any special course, they become well versed, and now every teacher now sends hundreds of WhatsApp messages to each and every. They know how to create WhatsApp messages. They know how to edit the JPG files. They know how to edit the video files. They know how to add all these things. So similarly, in this pandemic time, COVID-19 has taught us about using the online classes or the digital classroom in a very easy and handy manner. So most of the teachers in most of the institutions have learned about using this online mode just within a week. It was just the demand of the time, demand of the hour that compelled them. And when once they used it, they found, yes, it is very easy. There is no any difficulty. There is almost no technicality. So use of Zoom, that is free, and because the number of students is and the time 40 minutes, number of students 100, in some cases more than 1 hour time, number of students to the extent of 200. That was quite enough for every teacher to use the free Zoom, free Google Meet, free WebEx to conduct their classes. So they have made enough practice. But I feel that all the teachers in colleges and universities must be trained. There should be a 3 days workshop. 3 days workshop will be enough to teach them or to make them competent enough about how to use the digital contents, how to create the digital classroom, how to use the different gadgets like Zoom and Google Meet or WebEx, how to use. Hello?
Not audible.
Oh, sorry. Is it audible now? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so the COVID-19 what UGC could not do in the last 10 years. to help the teachers be computer friendly, computer savvy. Even 2 more steps ahead of UGC's expectation. Now the teachers in colleges and universities, they have become well versed in conducting their digital classroom. The biggest advantage of this is that our teachers have realized that use of technology, use of mobile, use of internet is not as difficult as we consider. So it has removed their apprehension about the use of technology. Still, UGC has come up. HRD Minister Dr. Pokhriyal, Nishank Pokhriyal also came forward with an idea that it will train all the teachers in the colleges and universities through online workshop so that they could find it easy as well as interesting to use the digital contents, technology, computer, and thus to conduct the digital classroom without any hitch. It is a welcome move. What should be taught in this workshop? The teacher should be taught about how the digital contents work, how the different softwares like Zoom, WebEx, Google Meet help in conducting the digital classroom. The workshop should also contain the detailed functioning of softwares like Moodle, Google Classroom, and Adobe software that like ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. Almost all the colleges are now using software to conduct their day-to-day business. Similarly, the Adobe and several other organizations have come up with such ERP-like programs, learning facilitator softwares, which every organization buy. Am I audible now? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Google Classroom, like for example, I tell you, Google Classroom is a very easy and it must be used by all the teachers. It is free of cost. It can have 250 students at a time, but if the university or college take it at college level through their server, through their networking, the capacity is much more and it can be better used by the university as a whole. So Google Classroom is a platform whereby teachers can distribute the course material on the one hand. On the other hand, students can submit their assignment. They can ask questions.
शायद आपका लैपटॉप डिस्चार्ज हो गया है. I think. Please check.
Okay.
स्क्रीन कुछ नहीं दिख रहा है आपका.
अच्छा. Okay. Is it? No, but screen is blank. Let me check.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute.
सर आपकी आवाज आ रही है, मुझे लगता है लाइट ऑफ हो गई है आपके कमरे की, इसलिए आप दिखाई नहीं रहे हैं. आपके चश्मा आपका लाइट.
ओके. जस्ट
लाइट अगर
लाइट क्यों ऑफ कर दिया? हेलो. लाइट नहीं जल रही है. वो इन्वर्टर क्यों बंद किया? तुम देखो जरा, देखो चेक करो.
Screen is blank, still not clear, sir.
जाओ चलाओ इसमें. यहाँ से किया क्या?
सर के कमरे की लाइट अभी हो जाएगी, आप लोग थोड़ा सा धैर्य रखें।
देखो आया नहीं लाइट? हाँ आ गया। ओके इज इट ओके नाउ? हेलो
Yes,
हाँ,
sir. Now it is okay.
हो गया ना? यस सर।
सॉरी सॉरी
चालू करिए सर।
okay so Google Classroom, wonderful software and very easy to use. The only problem is our teachers are not trained how to use it. It is just 30 minutes training to each and every teacher, and teacher will become she will find very easy to use Google Classroom. Google Classroom can do tens of the works. Assignment, notice, information,
वॉइस नहीं आ रही आपकी।
Okay. Just let me see. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Is it audible? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, assignment, attendance, any information or notice to all the students, even privately, if you want any student to tell or advise any student singularly, only to that student you can do. The student can respond you in the similar fashion. A student can either post anything visible to one and all, or a student can post anything to particular student, to particular teacher. All such kind of exchange of information, notice, comments, feedback are very easily possible, and one simple software downloaded in the mobile phone. You see, 1500 rupee mobile phone is capable enough to conduct all these things. So 1500 rupee is the usual cost for a mobile that can do all such kind of digital classroom things. So Google Classroom, that is free software, very handy, very much available in the mobile phone itself. You can give the notice to all the students, to particular students. You can evaluate the copies, assignments online, and you can put the comments also. Sometimes a teacher may think that putting comment on each and every copy is a very, very difficult task when you have to type. There is nothing as such. You can just make a 5-6 notes or even 10 notes of comments, and just you click on any note. The note may be 10 line, 20 line, any number of lines, any number of words, and just a single click will put that note on the copy of the assignment. So you can examine the assignment online, you can send the result online, you can return the copy along with your comment with your own marks, and at the end of the evaluation, by single click you can prepare the result sheet. A sheet of all the students with the name, with the comment, with the marks, whatsoever you want. You can delete any of such column that you do not need. With a single click, you can get a printout of whole things that can be sent to the examination section. Like all the CBCS program, you have to conduct 3 assignments at least in one session, in one semester, and this can be well done without much effort on the part of the teacher. Usually it is a very time consuming for teacher to give the assignment, to evaluate the assignment, to prepare the results, and to send it to the examination controller. Almost 20 times your time can be saved. Whatsoever takes 20 hours can be done in 1 hour if you use the Google Class. And that is all a free software. This is not only the Google Class. There are several other which can be used, and most of them are free of cost. And if the institution wants to take it at the further level, they can subscribe it with some very reasonable cost, and it can benefit not only the students to a great extent, but to the teachers rather in a better way. It is also essential that our teachers should learn very fast. And teachers have to learn very fast in order to enhance their productivity. So, as I told, the digital classroom, the biggest advantage of the information technology, digital classroom, digital contents is that it becomes very handy, very cost effective, very time saving, and therefore it is very, very useful for all the stakeholders concerned. So softwares, this is one Google Class. Similarly, Microsoft Office. We are well used to adopt Microsoft Office, MS Word, the fake copy, the copy. We never want to buy it because it is very costly, and therefore pirated copies have its own disadvantages. I never suggest anybody to use pirated copies because pirated copies harm your computer, your security system, and Microsoft has come forward with a proposal that if the institution offer, they can provide this Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office means MS Word, MS Excel, PowerPoint presentation, MS Access, MS Outlook, everything free of cost, and not only to the institution but also to all the students of the institution. So using Microsoft products from Windows to MS Office to MS Classroom, everything is free of cost today. If any institution wants, they can subscribe to it without any single penny to be spent. And if it is used for their digital classroom, it becomes superb. It becomes a boon. But the only thing is how to make our teachers as well as students aware of how to use in the best possible manner. That requires a training. A training of half an hour will do. Now, use of various online platforms. NPTEL was the first institution that was established with the 5 of the IITs in the, I think in the last decade of the previous millennium. Towards 1996, NPTEL was established by 5 IITs, IIT Madras, IIT Delhi, IIT Mumbai, IIT Guwahati, and IIT Kanpur. And the purpose was how to provide online contents, e-contents, video lectures to the various students, not only in technology, but in humanities and social sciences also. Apart from NPTEL, there were private organizations like Khan Academy. Some edu entrepreneur in educational area, they came forward and they established Khan Academy. And then there was a number of such kind of institutions which came forward with variety of lectures. UGC itself tried very hard to collect any number of study material in every subjects, in every area, and the result is now Google Scholar is full of such quality materials, PDF files, video lectures, audio lectures, group conversations, group discussions, and some very planned films which can teach students not only in the technical subjects, but also in humanities and social science areas. So, the digital contents are available today in variety of formats, and all without any cost. You have not to pay any single pi for having all these materials. And once you have it, you can store it for any number of years. You can pass it on to any number of colleagues, any number of students. And this way, the use and utility of such e-contents provide limitless benefits and advantages to the student community, to the teaching community. Then how to use Google Scholar? Google Scholar is still, when I say how to use Google Scholar, means how to learn using the search engine. Use of search engine requires some basic rules to be known. There should be half an hour training about using Google Scholar in a very effective manner, so that you can find whatsoever you want in lesser time, and exactly what you want could be thrown back by the Google Scholar. If you are trained in using Google Scholar in the right manner, I think most of your research problem will be resolved without any additional help. Even in FlipNet will be not required to a great extent if you have learned using Google Scholar. So, using online libraries, how to use online libraries? Word over. There are word over libraries. How to gather e-contents. E-contents are available from so many platforms, but many of the platforms are cheat. They provide you e-content, but behind that there are some virus, some Trojan horses, which get information out of your computer. So security issue is a big issue in the use of computer. How to protect yourself from online cheats, from online frauds, from such kind of e-contents. Even educational contents are such behind which the viruses are hidden, the Trojan horses are hidden, and you are enticed to download them, because once you download this kind of material, they will be able to put some virus into your computer which will give information regarding you, your computer, your usage, your habits, your password, everything to the person who has put it in your computer through online e-contents. So how to safeguard yourself against this? A training in this regard is also very essential. Once you are trained in using technology in a safe and secured manner, you will be able to help yourself in protecting against various online fraudsters, phishing, and many such kind of things which can deprive you of your very valuable money, bank account, and your deposits. So security training, use of computer in a secured manner is very essential. This can also help you in misuse of computer by your students. Sometimes miscreants in the classroom, they take charge of your computer, your class, and they put unwanted materials on the screen, or they can create some disturbances, chaos. If you are trained in this regard, how to manage your digital classroom, how to avoid the mischiefs of the students who are a little better known and they can create problem in the online classes. It is very easy for the students to disturb your class. Usually we are well versed in handling the students in the real classroom. Most of the teachers are expert in snubbing down such kind of mischievous students. But the same teacher, if not trained about how to snub the mischievous students in the physical classroom, they will not be able to conduct their digital classrooms in the most beneficial manner, because these students are much more aware of using this technology. So training in this regard is also very essential about how to avoid the mischievous students and how to stop them from playing mischiefs in the class is very essential. Then institution has its own responsibility in popularizing the digital platforms. How can institutions help? It can make a great help. The biggest complaint about the digital classroom is that many of the students are not economically well off to afford computer, laptop, and even a mobile that cost only 1,500 rupees. Here, institutions should have a well-equipped computer lab where students who cannot use their own mobile phone or who need really the additional gadgets, they could come to the computer lab of the institution and make use of the gadgets, software, electricity, internet facility in such a manner that they could achieve their purpose and goal. So all the institutions have been heavily provided with the computer labs. UGC in the last 1 decade has created a number of such schemes whereby institutions could get a lot of computers, a lot of computer gadgets. A lot of fund has been sanctioned by Ministry of HRD to make all the degree colleges, all the universities rich in computer. Unfortunately, institutions buy these computers, but they seldom think about their maintenance. So computers bought in big number, they get reduced to very few because of small technical glitches, which if removed timely, they can keep the gadgets healthy. And once the gadgets are maintained in a healthy manner, they can serve the students for many decades. Many of the teachers, many of the students, and even the students from the nearby residing areas, other institutions can be helped if institutions pay heed to this kind of issue. Then institutions should have well rapport with such institutions where from such kind of e-contents are provided. They can get it free. Most of the institutions which have created e-contents, they are very readily happy. They are very happy to give it free of cost to academic institutions. For example, Zoom. Zoom is a paid software after a limit, but they have provided a facility. If any school and college ask for a free service, Zoom, WebEx, Google, they all provide free of cost services to any number of the participants, and they really feel elevated and happy in helping academic institutions in creating platform for higher education or facilitating the students, facilitating the teachers, facilitating the academic society. So institutions can take advantage of such kind of benefits, such kind of facilities. The problem is they never think about, mostly they complain, we don't have computers, we don't have budgets, we don't have funds, we don't have software. Most often, a little effort, a little knowledge, going to various websites, reading the UGC schemes, they help you out and you do not feel any such big issue or big hurdle that can come between you and your students to stop or to make as a barrier against digital learning process. So regarding how I explained about the softwares, which are the most popular softwares, how to train our teachers, how the softwares for assignments can be used, for evaluation can be used, the costly softwares like MS Office and several others provided by Adobe can be used free of cost. Even sometimes for a small payment, you can have very handy softwares like ERP, Learning facilitator softwares are available in the market. You can customize them as per your own need, your own requirement to make the digital classroom process more pleasurable, more enjoyable. And now, after how I shall put my final words. Usually I ask at the end of such kind of lecture, after a lot of discussions, although I did not put that content, do you think that computers will replace the teachers? So the common response is that it is never possible that teachers can be replaced by computer. I answer just reverse. I say, yes, it is possible, as long as the teachers are able to prove themselves better than computer cannot substitute them. Computer cannot remove them. But the day computer becomes more efficient, more capable than a teacher, and this is possible. In several areas, computers have proved that they are better than the professional. They can better judge the brain cancer. They can better make a heart operation. In very many parts of the life, in several walks of life, computers have proved that they can perform much, much better than human being. And in all those areas, they are prevailing. They are doing the most complicated works of the world. They are doing every such work where human brain or human capabilities cannot be relied 100%. Similarly, in education also, if we do not equip ourselves better enough to beat the computers, the day will not be far off when computers will replace us. And computers do not replace us. The first steps towards that is, let us learn what is digital classroom, how to use the digital classroom. Let us do it. Let us experiment with it. Then we should decide whether a physical classroom is better or this digital classroom is better. Even if you do not be able to decide about which one is better, at least you can say, as most of us say today, that yes, a complement of the two, a combination of the two, physical classroom and digital classroom, can give us the best alternative. So I would request you proceed with this belief that physical classroom and digital classroom, a combination of the two will be the best solution. You start with that, but I promise there will not be much far. You will soon realize that digital classroom is much, much capable, much, much efficiency is there. And if used in a proper manner, digital classrooms can multiply your physical classrooms 100 times. Thank you. Thank you very much for so much time you listened to me. Now you can ask question if any. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, there are certain students in the class which complain that there is network issue, even though the network is proper. Is there any tool that can we check over it?
You see, network issue, first and foremost, your computer should be maintained properly. It should not be well stuffed with garbage and useless material so that it should not run slow. Then there are some tools which can automatically set your Wi-Fi and your use of network to the optimum level. And such kind of complaints should be removed with the help of technical assistance maintained in the college. There should be a computer section in every college, in every university, where one or two experts should be able to remove such kind of doubts as well as such kind of problems on the part of the students as well as teachers. This is not only the student's problem. This can also be a teacher's problem. And
Yes.
a well-maintained computer or well-maintained mobile itself is capable of setting itself to the optimum level. But if it doesn't happen, or if you feel that there is some problem with your gadget, it must be removed by the technical hand maintained in the computer center of the college or the university.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question. Can you throw some light on the Microsoft Team app, sir?
You see, it is very much like Google Class. There
Okay,
are
sir.
some, you see, the difference is that of the icons, that of the process, that of the methods how to start it. So once a 30 minutes training by someone who knows the about the software, and then using it by and by, within few weeks, you become well versed and rather expert in that. Using that software.
A lot of thanks for the wonderful gift.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
Myself, Dr. Mrityunjay Kumar. Sir, please elaborate the Google Scholar one more time. How can we use that?
You see, Google is a great search engine. Search engine means all the contents available in the web world will be available if searched in the proper manner. So this part, to search in a proper manner, is most important thing in using the Google search engine. Google search engine was bifurcated into some specialized form. One is the Google Scholar. Google Scholar is that part of Google search engine which is to facilitate the academic contents, particularly the research material, the research papers, the working papers, thesis, and worldwide studies available in academic formats in the web world, in the whole internet world. So the Google Scholar has been designed in a very special manner so that it could be used as a search engine, especially for academic material, research papers, thesis, and such kind of academic contents which can facilitate the academic workers. So this is Google Scholar.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, myself, Dr. Ajaz Ahmed Wani from Jammu and Kashmir.
Please.
Sir, in a normal classroom, there is a special bond which is being developed between the teacher and a student. But in today's era, there is a digital classwork. Can it affect the bond emotions which is being developed between the student and the teacher?
I don't think so. You see, this is the small kids, 5 years, 10 years, who are to be emotionally motivated. At this age, when every students are mature, major, they do not need any such kind of bond or emotions that cannot be motivated in the digital classroom. They can be. It is not true to say that emotional bond, without emotional bond that is available in the classroom, the higher education is incomplete. You see, today, I think there is many more such programs, courses, or rather say, the number of programs available on this earth is more in digital format than in the physical classroom. वो दिन दूर नहीं है जब ज्यादातर हमारे कोर्स डिग्री ये सारे ऑनलाइन अवेलेबल होंगे, MOOCs के थ्रू अवेलेबल होंगे. Anybody who wants to do online.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Sir, good morning. Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
This is Aarti Chaudhary. Sir, thank you very much for this informative lecture. And my question is, sir, how can we make a very effective e-content for the students? I mean to say, is e-content consist of very specific structural body?
Okay, good question. Good question. You see, in this pandemic time, what happened when the state governments and various authorities put pressure on the colleges and universities to put e-contents on their website so that students do not miss due to these
Is
the
there any
Google search engine, and so sometimes the students can do it in a better manner than the teacher can do, because they are more well versed with use of computer and search engine. So e-content is not the content lifted from Google and put it on your university website on your home page. E-content means the content that has been prepared keeping in mind your particular lecture. In other words, your particular lecture to be supplemented by additional course contents should be the major objective of behind preparing the e-content. So you know about how you deliver your lecture. You know about the contents of your lecture. So if as an extension of your lecture, you create any content in such a manner that they could help the students better, that will really be a fruitful e-content, instead of lifting some course material from Google and putting it on. It must be customized, and tailor-made content means it must be an extension of your lecture in the class.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Thank
What
you.
is your
Thank
take
you.
on? Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
Sir, what is your take on maintaining a profile of a scientist or a teacher or a professor on LinkedIn? Because LinkedIn also has profiles from people from other disciplines as well, or even people who are in business. So is it good to have a profile in LinkedIn for wider reach, or it will be better to have it in Google Scholar and ResearchGate?
Okay. There are multiple social media platforms available to teachers, students, or for that matter, any individual. It depends on individual which one is chosen by whom and for what purpose. There must be some objective. Yes, LinkedIn provides you an opportunity to enhance your network. From that point of view, in order to enhance your network, it is good. Because if you are member of a bigger or larger network, the possibility of getting well informed is much better. So from that point of view, it is good to be member in a LinkedIn. But the ultimate touchstone of choosing any social media for your professional upgradation depends on your own objective and how you can pursue that objective through respective platforms of the social media.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, hello.
Yes, please.
Sir, I wanted to ask, this digital classrooms, they promote the idea of unschooler or unschooling. So if in India, a country like India, where unschooling is not very much encouraged, how viable it is to rely heavily on digital classrooms?
What do you mean by unschooling?
Sir, like a few students who do not go to school, but they keep on studying at home, and they do not have any official degree as we hold, but they are well off in European countries or Western nations. But in India, this concept is not very much popularized. But the digital classrooms where the students can sit at home and get excellent contents, they can learn without going to school or colleges. They do not get the degree. So here that is not encouraged. In such circumstances, how viable it is to rely on the digital classrooms?
You see, in olden days, every student had to study up till 6th class, sometimes up till 8th class, and they used to get into school directly in class 9 or class 8 or class 6. It was a usual practice. Even today, it is possible that you pass your high school in open school and then get admission in intermediate classes in the real school or college. Similarly, even if you have done your BA through distance mode, you can take admission in MA in the regular mode. So such kind of facility is provided by our distance educational institutions like National Open Schooling, National Open School, or IGNOU, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Such kind of facility or switchover is well available. It depends on our students, keeping in mind their own circumstances and how to use all these available opportunity. There is no any problem in switching over from online, from distance mode to physical mode, from physical mode to distance mode, and from physical mode to online mode. And in the years to come, this facility will become much more. With the introduction of CBCS or with the introduction of common syllabus, even a student studying in one college can switch over to another, even in one university from another. All such kind of facilities are already existing. And all these facilities have to increase with the coming number of years. So we have not to bother about that. And the only thing is that they who want to learn, they who want to excel, they find their way, and all kind of ways are available. Distance mode education is available, open school is available, online courses are available, MOOCs are available, open universities are available. So it is up to the students and his or her objective and how to combine the available resources in order to achieve their goal. There is no any hindrance or barrier in that regard. And I do not see any problem with any of these. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So
okay.
Everyday schooling, regular schooling inculcates the habit of punctuality in students. Whatever is taught in a particular academic year, which goes something for 9 months, can very well be done in 3 months. But this is not done. This is usually not practiced. This is essentially because whatever syllabus or curriculum which is meant to be completed during a particular academic year for a student is extended for a period of 9 months, essentially to inculcate in a student, a sense of punctuality. So, what is your take on this? Now, when we are forced to go for, digital.
So your question is that the habit of punctuality does not develop if the students are encouraged to go for digital classroom. Do you mean that?
Yes, sir. Very much, yes.
You see, we in higher education teach the students who are already major, okay, who are mature, as a matter of punctuality, as a matter of interest, are all those habits essential for success in life. They are well developed before the age of 18. So our main goal is to develop the knowledge, the expertise in the particular program or subjects or course. Our main goal is not to develop punctuality. If a student has not developed the habit of punctuality till the age of 18, we cannot help them. And rather, we are there to help the students to develop the knowledge, to develop the skill. So this is not the major objective. We have to focus on the major objective. You see, every institution, every profession has some main goal, some secondary goal. So we should better focus on the main goal of our profession. The secondary goal, yes, it may be important, it may carry some weight. And still in digital classroom also, we can develop this habit. Like all of us had to join this digital classroom before 10:25, and all of us who are available here in the classroom, this digital classroom, had joined it before 10:25. So even digital platforms can carry all those quality-like things, habit-like things, psychological things along with the new platform. It is not any problem. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all. I would like to present my sincere thanks to Professor Ajay Kumar Gupta कि सर आपने हमें इतना एक अच्छा सेशन दिया सारे प्रतिभागियों को जो भारत के विभिन्न हिस्सों से इसमें जुड़े हुए हैं और सबने बढ़ चढ़ के हिस्सा लिया। ये इस लेक्चर की सार्थकता को बताता है कि लोगों ने काफी आपसे प्रश्न पूछे, जिज्ञासाएं चैट बॉक्स में लगातार आ रही हैं, लेकिन समय की भी बाध्यता ऐसी है कि हम और सेशन को लंबा नहीं कर सकते। तो एक बार फिर से मैं सर आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद दूंगा अपनी तरफ से, इस कार्यक्रम की टीम की तरफ से, प्रतिभागियों की तरफ से, विश्वविद्यालय की तरफ से कि सर आप हमसे जुड़े और भविष्य में आपसे ये आशा रहेगी।
आप सभी को भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपने इतनी तन्मयता से, इतने ध्यानपूर्वक हमारी बात सुनी, हमसे सवाल पूछे। सबसे ज्यादा खुशी मुझे इस बात की है कि आपने सवाल पूछा। सवाल तब पूछते हैं लोग जब ध्यान से सुनते हैं, जो जनरली रिफ्रेशर कोर्सेज में नहीं होता है, वहां टाइम काटना होता है। तो मुझे अच्छा लगा आपसे इंटरेक्ट करके, आपके सवाल का जवाब दे करके और यह देख करके कि डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म होने के बावजूद आपने इतनी तन्मयता से सुना और मेरे साथ इंटरेक्ट किया। थैंक यू सो मच टू ऑल ऑफ यू। थैंक यू वंस अगेन सर। थैंक यू।
अगला सेशन 3 बजे से 4 बजे तक है।
2 से 3
क्षमा करिएगा, 2 से 3 है। 2 बजे से 3 बजे तक है, वो 1 घंटे का सेशन होगा। सभी प्रतिभागियों से उम्मीद रहेगी कि आप लोग जरूर जुड़े उसमें, ठीक है। और लॉगिन का जो समय रहता है कि आप 10 मिनट पहले तक लॉगिन कर लें, क्योंकि एक बार शेड्यूल से ये ओवर हो जाता है तो फिर जुड़ने में लोगों को तकलीफ होती है, क्योंकि वो फिर क्योंकि ये तकनीकी चीजें हैं, लोग नहीं जुड़ पाते हैं तो बार बार उनके फोन आते हैं कि आई एम अनेबल टू ज्वाइन, तो उनको फिर मैनुअली कराना पड़ता है, जो हम लोग के लिए थोड़ा सा कठिन कार्य हो जाता है। तो आप 10 मिनट पहले ज्वाइन करें, ठीक है। फिर आपसे मुलाकात होगी।
हेलो
नमस्कार।
हेलो
नमस्कार।
तो मॉर्निंग का सेशन यहाँ पे खत्म होता है। हम लोग अब मिलेंगे 2 बजे। तो 2 बजे से 10 मिनट पहले 1:50 तक आप लोग प्रयास करिए कि सभी लोग आप इस मीटिंग से जुड़ जाएं। लिंक यही रहेगी, आप लोग अपने आप को डिस्कनेक्ट कर लीजिए इस समय। 2 बजे फिर हम लोग नेक्स्ट सेशन के लिए चलेंगे, वो होगा हमारा क्वेश्चन आंसर का, और कुछ इंस्ट्रक्शंस भी हम देंगे आपको। तो ठीक है, मिलते हैं हम लोग 2 बजे।
थैंक यू सर।